Hi, we're going to try this yet again. Um, Move the camera and change the angles in hopes that maybe people could see things a little better. Right now we are going to be working on a yellow flower, and for this we are using Arches cotton watercolor paper. They call it paper, but it's actually a cotton, and that's ARCHES. And we've got our picture reference that we're going to be working from, and I looked at my color chart and determined that I was seeing shades of lemon yellow, cadmium red, alizarin crimson, and then for the shadowing it's kind of a purplish color, very light, and for that I am using a combination of ultramarine and alizarin crimson because it gives a nice clear purple. Then I did a test of the colors that I hoped to use on a piece of paper. This is the purple in its darkest form, and we'll probably come back and incorporate some of that in the leaves, but this is a watered down version of our purple, and that's what we have in our little cup right here that we're going to be using to do some of the shadowing. When the shadowing is dry, then we can come back in over the top of it with our yellows and our other colors. And I did record this once a few minutes ago, and we have no earthly idea what happened, but somebody started talking right in the middle of it, so who knows what that was. All right, so what we've got here is our design, and I'm looking at it and I'm seeing areas where there's some shadowing, and all I'm doing is coming in with our purple mixture and adding in some of that, and you can always come back in and add a little more if you see someplace that you missed. With watercolor you can always add more and go darker. It's not so very easy to take it off once it's on, but you can always come in and add more. All right, so that's all I did, was come around and look and see where do I see shadowing, and fill that in. And if you come back over where there is some shadow, it will be darker. So that's all there is to that. Okay, so now we've done that, and we've got to look at it and say, where is an area that's dry? Because you cannot work where it's wet. Well, we haven't touched right in here in the center. I would like these areas of cadmium red to bleed out into the yellow eventually, so we can go ahead and put those in now. I'm just going to mix a little water in with it, and then look at our reference. We've got some of the designs here. The cadmium red is in here. We can always come back in and add a little more cadmium red at a later time, and we can also come in at this time while it's still wet, and we can put in a little bit of our alizarin crimson and let it bleed out into the cadmium red and give it an interesting design. If you see that you've got a little spot like I'm seeing right here where for whatever reason it's white, if you touch it while it's still wet, that little white dot will go away. So I'm seeing some red in here. And a little bit of it in here. And there's a little up in here. And I'm seeing maybe just the tiniest bit of a darker red in here, and maybe on this edge down here, and in this area down in here where the shadows would be. And then I rinsed my brush because I had the darker in it and I didn't necessarily want darker throughout. Okay, so there's some in this area. And then I'm seeing a little bit up in here. And a little bit up in here. And a little tiny bit of red is reflecting in here. And maybe it's just a little bit whiter. So essentially where you see the color, you add the color, okay? And maybe just a little tiny bit up in here. Yeah. Okay, that's where I'm seeing red. You might see it in some other places, but that's where I saw it. Now, another color we haven't mixed up yet, but that I can see in here is some green, and to me that looks like well, here's our little chart. I'm seeing some sap green and a little bit of the darker viridian green to make the viridian not be quite so bright. You would add just a tiny bit of cadmium red, or you could add a little bit of the alizarin crimson, and you can either mix that to the side someplace, or you can actually put the green on and be brave and put the red on the actual page that you're working on, and let the colors go. And I think it can be really neat to let the colors go a little bit. It can be more interesting. Okay, so we're going to add on a little bit of our green here. This is our lighter sap green, and I'm seeing a little bit of it shadowing in here, coming up in here, and then we've got our got an area in here, and then we've got our real dark area of alizarin crimson is right in here, and like I said, that's kind of bright. So rinse your brush just a little bit and add in, oops, too much. So you can take a little out if you need to. Don't freak out, it's okay. And you can come back in while these areas are still wet and add a little of that color in a couple of other places as well. And it gives you a really interesting design. I like it. If you don't like it, it's your painting. You do it how you like it to be. All right, so we're going to stop there, and we're going to see what we've managed to accomplish. We're going to let that dry before we come in and add yellows and things over the top of it. Take care.